What's going on, everyone? In today's video, I'm diving into creative portrait photo editing in Photoshop, and specifically how I use overlays to transform beauty portraits into something that feels much more editorial and magazine worthy. Now, a lot of photographers focus heavy on the lighting and camera gear, which is all important. But post-production is where you can really push your creative vision. Overlays are one of my favorite and least expensive tools because they allow you to add texture and atmosphere and visual storytelling to an image in ways that simply aren't possible straight out of the camera, or at least without a lot of work. I'm walking you through my editing process, my step-by-step, show you how I experiment with different overlays and how I build layers to create a final image that feels dynamic and polished. The photos I'm working on are actually images I'm preparing to submit to fashion magazines. So you'll get to see how I approach editing when the goal is to create something that feels publication ready. I wanted to show you real quick what I've been experimenting with these photos, okay? So this image I did a little bit earlier. So this one, I've already retouched the skin and done everything that I wanted to do with it. Now what I'm gonna do is show you how I wanted to spice this up, because I completed editing the images that I do want to submit, and I felt like they were great, but a little flat. And I wanted to add a little bit more, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit more texture, a little bit more creativity. So from here, and then here is the final result by adding some overlay, okay? Now, when I add it, of course, I don't want to like hide her face for the most part, but I want to add texture in the negative space over here and some here, just using some overlays, okay, that I bought. I bought a package a while back. So this is an example. Here's another example from here to there. And then here's another example from here to there, okay? I think it adds a little bit more flash in the pan, if you will. All right, so now let's go over here and choose an image that I want to work with inside of Photoshop. I think I'm gonna go for, I really like this. This looks really edgy. So let's work on this image, okay? So from here, again, I've already retouched and took care of everything. It's really nice and sharp, so I don't need to worry about how I want the image to look. This is the last step. When I'm adding overlays, it's the final step. So I'm done pretty much with the contrast and definitely skin smoothing, blemish removal, all that stuff, composition, etc. So now from here, I'm gonna go and edit inside of Photoshop. Let's open up Photoshop. So here we are inside of Photoshop. Now, one thing that I always do is just make sure that create this layer. Let's just call it, I don't know, photo. Okay, call it whatever you want. Clearly, I don't know how to spell. Type too fast. So, everything I like so far, and I have other windows here of like what I was working with earlier, by the way, just to see how I liked whether I wanted to do an overlay. But I was adding overlays from a package that I have, and quite honestly, I was really digging it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this might be something fun to share with all of you out there. So here we are. Okay, so from here, now I'm going to go to where I have overlays. And thankfully enough, I already have it pulled up. So I have a whole like package right here of like different kind of overlays: bokeh, crystals, light rays, smoke, stuff like that. Okay, so I like to just pretty much experiment, and what I've been using is crystals, quite honestly. And maybe I'll see if there's something like a little different that I might like. Oh, this is kind of cool. Let me see. Let me see. Something like this could be a cool one. Let's try that. Boom. I drag and drop it right from there. Then when I go for here, I go to it. This really depends on you, but either lighten or screen will pretty much take care of it. I think I'm going to do light. I'm going to do screen. Okay. Seems like a softer transition. Then from here, you're like, Robert, this is a horrible photo. And I'm going to have to say, yes, it is. Okay. But my thing is about adding some sort of visual texture in a sense with the lighting. I keep using that word. I'm not sure why, but It's not just because technically we're in a studio, right? So some of you out there are going to say this looks fake because there's no right source of light where this what was it, refraction or this effect would happen in your lens. So why would you put it there? Well, it's sometimes, you know, some rules are meant to be broken. So I'm going to take this, and then what I usually do is, well, I do every time, is I lower the opacity because it's just about a touch. You see, it's already down to 30, but when you take it away, see what it does to the photo? Boom. This is a nice photo. I enjoy this photo. I like this photo. But this just adds something else to it. I can't really explain. Don't get all scientific-y with me, okay? Just rock with me here. All right. That's cool, but I think I'm going to add something else, something with a little bit color to it. And let me see here if any of these have, no, these are just basically lights. So let's go to, let me see these light particles. Oh, particles, excuse me. No, this makes sense if you're like outdoors. If you're shooting in a city, the light particles are really good. Let me see what the heck this is. Oh, those are like presets. Duh. Let's go back to, let me see the light rays. Huh. But I want something with a little bit color. There we go. Oh, this is kind of a funky one right there. It's kind of funky. Put that there. Drag and drop, same thing. Go to screen. Oh, that's cool. Again, this is not the final thing, okay? It's not the final. I'm just going through it. Press Command T for transform if you want to adjust. Actually. There we go. Boom. Now let's see. Let's just group these puppies together. That's using, you select all the layers, Command G is where you could group them all together. So I'll just call it overlays. Okay, but they're right there. Okay. Now if I take it off, this is what it is. This is where it's at. Now, because this warm light rays is there, it actually affects some color in our hair around here, which is cool. I like that. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, let me see that. That's actually, I'm actually digging that. Digging a lot. Let me see if I can add something a little bit warmer in the color there. Let me see what this one might look like. I might get it wrong, but we'll see. Boom. Bam. Turn it that way. I'm not an expert at Photoshop by any stretch of the imagination, but I know enough to you know, do a little something to my photo here. So clearly all the light is coming from the upper right portion of the frame. So I just want to be a little bit consistent. I just want to add a little bit of warm tones in there. Okay. Now I'm going to lower the opacity here. Here we go. That's cool. And then what I like to do is, let's see here. Cool. There it is. Before, after. I'm digging it. Let me just lower this one just a hair a little bit more. And you see, you just play with it. What I always do is before and after. That, like the before, after lets me know like if one of the layers are too much, like the opacity is up too high or not enough. Let me just see what this would look like if I went a little bit harder on the paint. There we go. That's actually pretty cool. Now, I'm going to go to this one, the directional lights. I'm going to press E, turn it into a smart object, and I'm using the erase brush, and I'm going to just a little bit right on her face because I don't want to lose too much detail, but I don't want it to be noticeable where I'm using it. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Cool. And for those that are curious, I'm using a Wacom small tablet for this. And I'm just erasing a little bit there. You can see where I've erased. Cool. I want the effect, and I don't mind if the effect comes past her hair, which it does. But I don't want to like totally cover up her face, but you won't notice the transition or the whatnot. Anyway, now let's look at this one. That's actually pretty cool. I like that. That I could live with. So we'll keep it as such. Okay. And tell you the truth, I haven't even worked on this image yet. This is totally like right now, like I haven't pre-selected which overlays I want to work with, but I'm kind of glad it's working out the way it is. There we go. I want some warmth coming from up the top. Now, see right here, you can see that faint line. That what I like to do with that, lower the opacity a little bit. Sometimes lowering the opacity helps it go away, but in this case, it's not. So, because I can notice it. You see that little faint line. So we're going to use the erase tool. We're going to go on the layer we want, press E, and then I'm going to just touch that line ever so slightly, okay? Let's do a little bigger than that. Yeah, like this. And just use that. Now you can see my opacity is on 25, flow 19. You know, you could go a little bit lighter if you'd like, but then it'll help with the transition and erase that hard line, okay? Okay. Most folks won't notice, but I do. That's why I erased that line. And since the opacity is already down to 29% or lower, you know, depending on what you want, the line would disappear. Okay. Now, let me see. This all looks good. Boop, boop. Cool. Nice. Definitely digging this. Definitely digging this. Let's go to here. Oops. Where is my... There we go. Nice. Let's go before. After. Really, really nice. I'm digging that a whole lot. If you want, you could adjust more with the color and the exposure a little bit. Like I may add a little bit of contrast in the hair, right? Which you could totally do. I tend to export this file back into Lightroom and then adjust accordingly. But what I normally do is save as a Photoshop file, so therefore I can go back to this and edit it all I want. Okay, so right here, go to save, boom, bada bang, just in case I have to go back and adjust the layer. So now I'm going to save it. Okay, now we are here at the end. As I mentioned earlier, I did all the retouching of the face and everything else earlier before, well, I did this video. And you can see here is the before, and then after applying my overlays in Photoshop, here is the after. To me, it's about adding that little subtle touch to the image to further enhance the impact of it, right? You can see here, like this is a well shot photo. It's lit well, it's edited, she looks great, skin looks great, everything's great. But I want to add a little bit of pizzazz, and that's what overlays does. It's a nice creative tool to just add that little cherry on top. Now, is it for every shot? Absolutely not. But once in a while, it works. And for my vision, this is, I kind of dig it. That whether you like it or not, well, that's really up to you. But overlays are super cheap to buy. I bought a package off of somebody and I've been using them repeatedly ever since. Actually, not ever since, but like sparingly. But when I do, I enjoy how they come out. Okay, I hope you enjoyed my short tutorial about how I use overlays to further enhance my beauty portraits. If you have any questions about my steps, my process, why I did it in the first place, feel free to let me know down below. Of course, I hope you like, subscribe if you wish to see more of this kind of content. Hit that hype button if you would like. And until next time, keep shooting and stay creative.